All right, hello everybody. This is a package management subproject meeting April 13th. We just really want to go through the sprint board, so maybe this will be quick. Let's see, let me show that screen. Okay. All right, so it looks like we have Sandeep. So where do we stand on this item, Sandeep?
Yeah, so I started looking into the force controller code structure. I mean, referring that in order to understand like the requirement, what is to be done in this. So I have clarity now. So I'll create a document with a diagram on like how it would look like, and yeah,
Perfect.
I'll update the ticket with that.
So if you want to just do that directly as an MD file in the, do we even have a place for it? Let's see. Yeah, I would create a directory in here called docs or design docs, maybe. I don't know if you can see it, what I'm showing, but
Yeah, I
just
can see.
yeah, just create a design documents directory right in here and add that to it. That'll be the first one. We haven't. I guess the other people have been. I think they've been putting them in the. I think they put some in. Well, not here, but I've seen some in PRs. I think that are potentially located with the individual items, which might be a problem later, but we'll sort it out. Okay, excellent. Yeah. So let's hope that. Or let's. I look forward to seeing that. I will be out next week, but others will be available to review it, and I'll review it as soon as I get back. Or if you get it done today or tomorrow, then I'll review it tomorrow. All right, sprint board. So do you think you're, based on what you've looked at so far, Sandeep, do you think it's achievable in the sprint still? Which mean completing it next week?
It is. No, it should be doable in this sprint. But the only confusion I have is that these controllers, not all the controllers are there. For example, IPAM, they are not uh, in the Nephew repo yet, right?
So the IPAM one is like, there's the specializer for the IPAM
Yeah.
that we would want to run in here, but the IPAM controller itself should run as a separate thing because we want to treat that as if it's an upstream project. So yeah, we don't want that to be embedded in the controller manager. But let's at least get the framework up and going, and then we can include the specific controllers,
Yeah.
reconcilers, or whatever we call them later. All right.
Yeah. So framework I can target. Yes.
Excellent.
I mean,
Okay.
whatever.
Okay. All right. And okay, so this one is me. So in the package variant design, there's 3 features primarily, for 3 ways of introducing variants in a package. One is adding things to the package context, which is basically like a set of inputs. The other is modifying the kept file pipeline. And the third one, the most complex one, is the config injection we've talked about pretty extensively. So the design is basically done. There's a few tweaks I need. Just like there's some minor things left, but there's nothing that prevents us from moving forward. So what I did is start implementing the first of those features, which is the simplest one, just to kind of make some progress. So that's just about done. and there's a PR there for that. I do expect to finish both of these things before I leave town on Saturday. So that's my plan. What that means is that the second feature is over here in the to-do list, if anybody wants to pick it up. The third feature, which is this one, if anybody wants to work on it, that would be great. I'm not going to say it's in progress. It's not really in progress, but I think it's probably, I think because of what we've talked about before, some CLA issues, it may go to sprint 3 when I'm back. But any of these things, people are welcome to pick up, but I suspect they'll go to sprint 3, this feature and this feature. What's next here?
Sorry, John, real quick.
Yeah.
I might be able to pick something up. I mean, I've been looking for something to pick up.
Ooh.
So
okay.
Yeah, and I thought maybe now's my chance because I guess I missed the initial planning.
Okay, yeah, let's talk. If you can stay after for a few minutes, or
yeah, that would be perfect.
Let's talk, because I definitely we could. There's a yeah. Let's do that. Okay, then do we have Sahir or Ganesh? I'm sorry, I'm looking at my. Well, I can give an update on this. So, so this is actually probably done. Well, I'll put a comment on this one. This particular task is probably done, but just to give an update on what's happening with the UI for those who didn't join yesterday, we had a meeting where Chris went through kind of the internals of the UI. You know, there's still a lot of, so we have a team, there's a couple of folks who are interested in helping out with the UI, but they're not Kubernetes people, so there's sort of a lot of ramp up to do, because even though it's the UI and they don't necessarily need to understand everything going on behind the scenes, there's a certain level of understanding they need. So they're ramping up on that. I think it's great. And so, but as far as this specific issue, which is undoing I believe we can just take the Porch UI as is, and then what the current main branch, so all the stuff we did in the workshop goes away because we're not keeping any of those resources that we created for the workshop. And then new Nepio resources we'll add in a new panel in the UI is the plan right now. And so I'm going to close this issue as complete, and then we'll open some new issues around those new panels as we understand them.
Yeah, there's one already open that we know. That,
yes, I see here, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Actually, why don't we split this one into two different? Probably should split this into a resource editor, viewer and editor for package variant set, and a resource viewer and editor for package variant, because they would be different things.
Okay. So. Okay, I'll do that. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. This was. There's still a dependency on this, Fish. And Ravi, you're waiting. What's the status here? Because I think you were going to talk to Victor or something. Do we have Fish? We don't have Fish. Okay, so I'm talking to nobody. All right, we'll follow up on that. We don't have. There's a similar issue. As far as I know, this one's complete, but I didn't see any response to Wim's comment on there. Do we have Stephen? We do not have Stephen.
So which one? Sorry, which was?
Sorry, I'm just moving along quickly because
okay.
the requirements for E2E testbed, do we think this is?
I think we have enough data in my view, but I just wanted to I think we have put enough data there. That's according to me, we have enough there. I don't know whether.
I'm not sure whether it's closed, but there is a comment of me. Yeah,
yeah,
so see, I don't think this will work for R1, by the way. What we have here will not work. I discussed this morning with Steven, by the way. I mean, it's close. We are getting into the right thing, but I made a comment, but I think Victor is on holiday, so he probably needs to be back.
Yeah, he was at a conference and then on holiday, and I think he'll be
but
back
I think,
next week, he
yeah.
told me, but of course I'm out next week. He was, yeah, okay. So you guys will have to work it out.
Yeah, and so we will get in touch probably. Yeah, I'll see how it works with the KubeCon, but we'll try to get in touch with Victor next week when he's back.
Okay,
he's back.
awesome. Awesome. So I did speak to
on that. Sorry, John. On that, Wim, if you have specific comments of what particular things in that topology doesn't work, if I could please add to that comment. I did. You did. Okay.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, go ahead, John. Yeah.
Yeah. No, so I spoke to Steven yesterday, and he's looking at this, but I don't know the direct.
I had a discussion with him this morning, by the way, on the same topic.
Okay.
And the topology controller.
Okay.
He's working on a design. I don't think implement. I mean, Steven has to comment, but I think implementation, I would think probably not for stage or sprint 2, I'm assuming. What he's working on is a design document, so the next item, to how that would work.
Okay. I mean, I guess my understanding was great. Part of this is that there's already the C code NF topology controller, so this was more like, but yeah, we need the design document first. So I'll just move this to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now there is a specific case that we discussed this morning, which is, I think, and maybe it's interesting for other people, and because that's also similar to the use case that you were discussing, John, with the DNS for the IP address. You remember, right? Because we have a similar issue in release 1 between SMF and UPF. So the issue is that for the N4 interface, apparently for free 5GC, and that was also clear from the Orange feedback, is that the SMF needs to know all the UPFs that it talks to, and its IP addresses, and its DNNs, and so on and so forth. Okay? So that means that the SMF needs to have that information to do so. So what I proposed to Steven this morning is to, so we need to add, in the package that comes from the package management, we need to add a CR in the SMF that basically says, hey, I need to get the IP for this UPF for this interface, right? So someone needs to put a CR in there for all the UPFs that you're fanning out.
So
then during split, yes, sorry.
Sorry, we could do it that way. Another way to do it is to solve it by common labels. So if every star deployment resource in our topology has a common label and has a label for its, well, I guess it's by kind, then the operator on the workload cluster that's rendering the SMF configuration can look for UPF deployments with that label, a matching label, and can read it from there.
But they don't necessarily end up in the same cluster, right?
Right, of course, yes. Okay.
So the idea, so to make this generic, so the idea was that they put, let's say, a CR, which is the IP allocation CR, inside of the package for the UPFs that they are interested. During specialization, we will get the IP addresses for the relevant UPF and add that to the SMF deployment, and then they have all the information.
So, okay, so the SMF will say, so this comes back to if the IP, let me repeat that back and see if I understand. The meta is still indirection. It's just indirection through the IPAM and rather than through the cluster. And what we would do is we put a request. So you could put a request in that's a label query that says, give me all the UPFs for this set of labels, the UPF IP addresses. If all we need are IP addresses, like if we need some other inputs, then that's different. If all we need are IP addresses, then could the IPAM return multiple IPs from a single request? We talked about that in the DNS case too.
Yes. Now the problem that you have with that approach is that how do you know that they're all there?
You wouldn't, yeah.
So the advantage of having specific parameters is, by the way, this is a specific issue for FreeVGC. Yeah? So
yeah, but this is exactly right. When we go to Nokia, we're going to find other specific, like,
yes,
you want to
correct. So
yeah.
Yes, indeed. So the advantage of specifying individual things is you know exactly the amount, and we will never render the SMF unless we have them all.
So how do we know though? But we don't know the amount. If the amount is changing because we're using a label selector to determine how many UPFs we create, then
yes, that's a so you have to have feedback. So you have to get feedback. So he was putting, so in other words, in this case, his topology thingy would use very specific labels. So you're not using a full fan out thing, but you're using specific labels that you know where they will end up.
Yeah.
And maybe we have to do something more advanced going forward.
Yeah, you could, in the topology controller, you could do this. In the standard package variant set, it wouldn't. I don't think we have the right primitives to do it at this point. Correct. I'm sorry, there are two hands though. I don't know the ordering. I think it might have been Sandeep. His hand went up first.
Yeah. So what I was saying was that since I mean, IP allocation, etc., is also happening through the same set of controllers. So whenever there is, whenever we create IP address for you, can't create a context resource on the ports cluster, like the cluster context. So we have the context for all the UPFs that we have created, and then we have CRs in the SMF, and the package variant controller will basically do the same thing. I mean, it will look for the GDK on the cluster, and whichever UPF it finds, it will just have the reference of those UPFs in this SMF. I mean, that's like.
We might be able to do something like, I'm sorry, you're breaking up a lot, so I'm going to just try to, what I heard you say is have the processing put those IPAM, put some sort of context object into the porch cluster so that it can be read. The issue is that some of this determination might not happen until, well, yeah, actually that can work. It happens during special.
That is okay, right? It will keep reconciling. I mean, whenever, they can get created in any order. So, but the reconciliation loop will make sure that any new UPF context that is created, it is consumed in the SMF. But of course, they have to be part of the same. They have to be part of the same topology, of course. So we will need some sort of labels there. But
that goes back to the issue that we discussed yesterday, John, is that the pipeline then needs to be re-triggered and stuff like that, right? So
yeah. So I think what we need to do is, it sounds like we have there's at least two different ideas, if not more, on how to solve this. And this is where I think a document. Sorry to always be like document, but something that we can discuss, especially with the asynchronous nature of our community. Writing this up somewhere in a one-pager with here are 3 different options that people have come up with, or even just doing it on Slack. But ideally in either an MD file or a Google Doc, and then we can all debate it there or have a meeting to resolve it if we're not coming to a conclusion. But because we don't have Stephen here, Bali, Bali, did you have another thought? Yeah.
So mine was mostly a basic question. So what's the problem statement we're trying to solve? Is it which, okay, given enough topology, which UPFs are managed by SMF? Is that the fundamental problem statement we are trying to?
Yeah, so the issue, Bella, is the following. Apparently for FreeVGC, so that became clear after the orange POC, and I asked them explicitly, and after the meeting I asked again. Apparently in FreeVGC code, it's the SMF who needs to know all its UPFs, and it needs to have the specific IPs for them, and all of the UPFs that it connects. And it's not the other way around. So if it would be the UPF needs to know the SMF, it would be way simpler to solve. But here it's really the SMF, the server, if you will, needs to know all its clients. So that's kind of the problem statement. So that means that's actually the worst of all scenarios. The other one would be way easier to solve, but this one is actually the server needs to know all its clients, and it needs to have the IP addresses of all its clients before it can actually operate. If it would not have it, that UPF would never connect, basically. So that's the problem statement.
Oh, okay.
So it creates a dependency. You have to know exactly which UPFs you're creating before you can fully deploy the SMF. And that's okay. Like that's kind of this kind of bizarre relationship is part of the reason we need like the idea of the topology controller and all of these things. So like, I love this actually. This is a problem we need to solve. And let's talk about different, and I don't think the primitives we've come up with so far will solve them. Possibly what Sandeep is saying, we could solve it without those primitives. So we'll have to just, I think, try the different options, explore the different options.
Can you use the conditions, John, not to make the SMF deployment ready until UPF, all the data is ready?
That is definitely one option. So that's the package dependency idea, is the general purpose version of that, but we could experiment with it here for sure. Yeah.
And there is two ways to do it. I think at the moment is this dependency, and the other one is to just use the IPAM for it, right? That's the second idea. Because the IPAM will never return the IP. So if the UPF is not hydrated, the this SMF package will never continue because the IP is not available. So it will say, I cannot allocate, so conditions stay false. And it's only when they both get acted upon or allocated, then that package of SMS will continue and then deploy. So you get you get through this condition, you get explicit dependencies somehow.
Right.
But that's one way. I'm not saying that that's the way to do it. I'm just saying that's a way.
Yeah. You have to know. It's about like, when do you know and how do you inject that? But we're actually, I booked this meeting for 30 minutes.
Yes.
Trying to keep it that way.
Out of time. Yeah.
So the only two items left on our sprint board, the installer, that's Victor, who's not here. And then Liam, are you here?
I don't think so. He had to go to a sports event with his kid, I think.
Okay. He had, I guess this probably needs review. I think he had submitted something and then he resubmitted it and it needs another review. So I'll try to take a look at that today. Bala, your hand's still up? Is that new?
Sorry. I just
That's okay. Okay, excellent. Then Simon, if you want to hang on for a minute, we can go over some of these things. Otherwise, let's everybody else, we'll see you later.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Bye.
Anybody else is welcome to stay too if they want. So Simon, awesome. So we have, let me show you. Where is, so in here, okay, there's two things going on. One is the design. So the design, there's two pieces, package variant and package variant set. In this sprint, we really only talk about package variant. Package variant set has to be implemented too. There's quite a bit of work there, but so that would be, so I guess I'll give you the array of things there are, and we can discuss how to get going on any of them. This is the there's an existing design. Let me go back to this. Okay, so this is the one that I have almost done. And then here's the design that's currently published. There's a PR that adds some things to this. including the package variant set design. That's this PR, which is a pretty extensive PR. Actually, there's a lot of stuff in here. But I think that for the most part, it doesn't change the package variant design. So right, if we're thinking about it like in layers, package variant set emits package variants. Package variants emit package revisions and do some changes to them. So we can fully implement package variant without implementing package variant set. Natasha's implemented a sort of very basic version of package variant set, which I'm kind of not completely changing, but changing a fair bit in the I'm changing a fair bit in this updated design. So let's start with package variant, which is sort of where we are right now. I would also love to get your review on this PR, look it over, see what you think. But where we are right now is implementing these different features that are not implemented. That's what this one is, not implemented. So yeah. In this design, okay, so package variant, I don't know, how much, are you familiar with what we've been doing with the package variant at all? Did you,
yeah, yes. So I'm familiar with both the initial proposal and like with the contents of this document. I just cannot yet make the correlation between what's already implemented and what is like, okay, how does it map to the ticket? That's essentially.
Okay, so what's all that's implemented today in Porch is the basic cloning operation. So none of the variant, nothing under introducing variants is implemented. So all it basically does is clone it and manage those clones. You can do, if you update, it'll do the updates, but it won't do so if you update the revision in the package variant upstream, it will do an update, create a new draft with a updated package, but it doesn't introduce the variants. So in the variants thing, I had three things. The first is the simplest, and that's what I've implemented. It's basically what you see here. There's a actually that's called package context, I think now. There's a config map that's in every kept package called the package context. Typically, it just has the name in there. When you clone the package to a new name, it updates that name. I'm allowing you to add stuff to it or change stuff in it in this thing that I've implemented. It's almost done. If you go into those Nephew issues, I have links to the PRs. You'll see it. There's a few little tweaks I have to make.
Okay, understood.
Yeah. So then the second one, which is also fairly simple in the sense that it only deals with data that's in the package variant resource itself. So that's what makes these two a little bit easier. So it's a nice place to start. You could, this would be a nice place to start. You're basically implementing one function that takes inputs and has a specific set of outputs. This one's more complicated than the one I did, but it's pretty, I have a pretty detailed design for it. Here. But yeah, I mean, not that detailed, but I have some description here. So that would be a great place to start. And then the thing that needs to be done is the config injection. That one's a lot harder because it involves not only going through and looking at the resources that are in the package, but looking in the cluster, setting up watches on the things that you pull out of the cluster, and then continuously reconciling that. I think that's okay, but it's like, and there is actually prior art on that in the package deployment controller that Natasha did back last fall. But so there's some code we can probably borrow from that, but it needs to be, it's changed a fair bit. So that's the package variant stuff. So that's all I think we're likely to get. Like, I would love to get package configuration injection done, but I don't know how long that's going to take. There's how much time you have, and I obviously out next week anytime. So
okay. Yes. So then maybe just real quick. So to summarize, from what I've heard currently, I think the best point to start would be the KRM function pipeline, right? This would be something that makes sense. Okay. Which task does this map to? Then I can assign myself, or you can assign me, whatever you prefer.
Assign you, right? No, I just created the task because we only had this one, but it's like there's actually 3 different features.
Yeah.
This one, and then I will assign.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Take a look at it, read the design, see if it makes sense to you, and take a look at my PR. This PR, you'll see that basically once we can look at it. I'll show you right now. So if you look, what's going to happen is once I get it done, which I hope to, like I said, today or tomorrow. Okay. So what I did is I added this apply mutations function, which gets called, and I've added this ensure package context. You're basically going to add an ensure kept file pipeline or whatever, kept file function. Yeah, I guess ensure kept file pipeline, and then add the actual method that does that. But actually all the rest of this stuff should be able to stay the same because that's the whole point here. I'll add something that adds a condition here if things failed or succeeded. And so we should be in, it should basically be add a stanza here that calls your function, add your function, which you'll notice like my function doesn't actually take any, it doesn't even need the context because it's just like basic inputs, basic outputs. It doesn't talk to the server. Or
anything. Okay. And it's implemented directly on the reconciler. Okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of a nice entree because it's not too many dependencies there, as opposed to the config injection, which is going to be insane. Okay. Any questions?
Not so far, I think. It's very clear. I mean, it also helps that you already have a PR open, which tackles a lot of the things. Yeah, maybe last questions. In your absence, is there anyone else that's really familiar with the proposal that I could ping in Slack if some questions do come up?
Morten and Natasha. Morten Torkelson. I think it's Torkelson. So Morten is kind of the overall TL for Porch at Google. And Natasha's on his team, and Natasha wrote all of the existing package variant set stuff, so she's super familiar with it. But you'll see both of them on the GitHub. Now, I don't know if they're on the Nefio Slack. They have been at times, but they are also on the Kubernetes Slack. There's a kept channel. You'd be able to reach them on there as well. But I'll let them know you're going to be working on it. And
yeah.
So John, just what is the link to the PR that you showed? Is it on the ticket?
it's on my, I have a ticket for in this
got it.
sprint for package context injection, and it's linked to that.
Okay.
Yeah, I can also
Thank you
see
so
it
much.
in the list for the requests for KPT. There's the magical number of 42 papers open at the moment.
So sorry, I just stayed on just to learn. Yeah, thank you.
Oh yeah, no, that's great. That's
All good. Yeah.
awesome. Excellent. Then
Okay.
I'll talk to you later and let me know you need anything.
Yeah, perfect. Talk to you later. Have a nice next week, whatever you're doing.
I'm headed to Maui, so that'll be nice.
Okay, yeah, that is good condition to have a nice week.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Have a nice one. Bye-bye.